It's about 7:18, 7:19. I'm driving north away from Rain, Roberts Cove Road, whatever that little dogleg road is that comes off to 10, driving up to Basile.
Listening to 105.5 KEUN. I'm Rick Nesbitt, and we have a special guest in the studio today. I'd like to welcome Noah to the broadcast. Noah, you came many miles to be here, but you're originally from the area, right?
Well, it's funny you should ask.
You're sort of from the area, from all over. You're like an Air Force brat.
That's right. My last name's Arceneaux. My mom was a Richard. And then if you go back a little bit further, I know I got Mouton, Domain, Guidry, all those good names. So my family...
All the familiar names.
Yeah.
We know you're from around here.
Yeah, but my dad was in the Air Force, so I grew up moving around, and I ended up as a professor. I study radio, but I'm a professor at San Diego State University.
Wow, how long have you been a professor?
About 18 years. 18,
wow.
Yeah.
You don't look like a professor. Let me explain to you. He has a bit of a, more than a 5 o'clock shadow, and he's wearing a Lafayette Lions cap, and he has a navy blue t-shirt on.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you dress differently when you're in school.
I look a little more professorial, yes.
Well, other than memories and where you used to live, what brought you back to this area this week?
About 5 years ago, I got really interested in the history of what I'm calling the history of Cajun radio. Radio stations that broadcast en français, or that play Cajun music, or Zydeco music, or swamp pop. Radio stations that really embrace local Louisiana music and embrace the culture. And I'm doing a book about the history of this phenomenon.
Well, we're all over that here at KEUN. We have our Saturday Cajun music show. We play Cajun music throughout the day, and have a swamp pop show on Sunday mornings at 8 o'clock. And hope you'll include us in your book.
Oh, absolutely. I look at the history of old stuff and then current stuff. And it's kind of exciting for me because I sit in my office in San Diego and I listen to radio stations, I listen to Cajun music, and I read articles from old magazines or newspapers. So places, to me, I'm excited, like Lakeview Park. I've read about this place, I get excited when I get...
Historic.
Yeah, and
we used to have a Cajun music show on Saturday mornings, broadcast live with Reuben Reed from there. And he also broadcast from Floyd's Lounge for a while, and we still have the original transmitter we used to use for those broadcasts.
Absolutely. I'm interested in all that old stuff, and then going out to hear music. So while I'm here, I'm going to take advantage and, maybe put on a few pounds, eating some boudin, and...
Nothing wrong with that. I'll tell you, the person you should have spoken to, but you're several years too late, was King Carl Derwan.
Yeah, you were telling me about King Carl. And his name, I kind of knew how it was spelled, but I see it spelled differently. People have trouble with some of these names.
I'm not originally from here, but I've been in Eunice for 20 years. I've been in Louisiana for 36 years. When I first saw his name, I thought it was DeRuin.
Yeah, right. Well, people in California always want to say the X in my name, Arceneaux.
What else have you been doing for research for your book?
Well, I went to Washington, D.C. and dug through the National Archives. They got the records for the FCC, Federal Communications Commission. I know you know that. They got records going back to the 1920s and 1930s, and I was pouring through them trying to look for radio stations that were broadcasting in French. Did they have anything in French? And I found a lot of evidence, but the records weren't that detailed. It would just say, just say French news. Wouldn't say anything more than that. But I did my best research and kind of explored it. I did find a letter from, I think many of the listeners, maybe certainly the older listeners will recognize the name, Dudley LeBlanc. I found a letter from Dudley LeBlanc where the U.S. government had told him to stop broadcasting in French during World War II.
Why was that?
They wanted to censor the news reports during World War II. Makes sense. And they said, we don't know what you're saying.
That's been a recurring thing in history. Whenever the government doesn't understand something, they ban it. Remember the song Louie Louie?
Oh, yeah.
They wanted to ban that because they couldn't understand the lyrics.
They thought Louie Louie was obscene. Yeah, But I found a letter, which I'm going to reprint in the book, where Dudley explains very articulately. He says, nothing to Uncle Sam, nothing we're doing is not patriotic. Sons and daughters from Acadiana are overseas fighting, which is true. And if their ma and pa and, everyone wants to know what's going on over in the Pacific Theater, they can't read the English language newspaper, so you need to let me tell these people what's going on. And then I'm sure at the end of his news, he would probably sell how to call as well.
Yeah. Well, we're just about out of time. Noah, I do appreciate you stopping by, and I'm looking forward to your book. What is your time frame on that? When do you think you'll have it ready to be published?
I'm hoping it comes out in a year, maybe not much longer than a year. The working title right now is French in the Morning.
Oh, good.
Because usually when stations would play French, morning is the time to do it.
The morning show here on KEUN and when it was KJJB FM was called Coffee Talk. And Carl hosted that for, it must have been over 40 years.
I didn't know this. I'm doing research right here, right now.
Broadcasted with several people in town. The city marshal was on it with him. There were several different people. But when I took it over, we continue to call it Coffee Talk. And it's just the KEUN morning show now. But forever it was known as Coffee Talk. There's
still some other stations that do French, I guess. The older people wake up early. Cajuns waking up early, drinking their coffee, sitting on the porch. They want to hear the news, or they want to hear a good two-step or a good waltz.
And our listenership is very high. That's our most listened to program on KEUN FM 105.5 is the Saturday Cajun Music Show. And we're very proud of that.
Well, I love that radio stations like KEUN do it. And I think we need more local radio. We don't need big conglomerates coming in. We need more local radio, and what could be more local than playing Cajun music on Saturday?
Can you speak Cajun French?
No, I can muddle my way through Alonzo Lafayette.
But les bonjour roulés.
Yeah.
The common ones in Landau-Say.
Yeah, exactly. But, because I didn't grow, and my parents were sadly of that generation where they were deliberately, even though they're from Karen Crow and Rain, they were deliberately raised only to speak English because their parents, who spoke French, wanted the kids to assimilate. So they had no chance of getting to me, and I didn't even live here. I'd come back. I do remember my grandparents playing bourrée, speaking French in the back room. I do remember them speaking bourrée, and my great-grandmother, my mom, Arceneaux, never learned English. Just was sitting in the rocking chair. She could say hello to her great-grandkids, and that's it.
Well, Noah, thanks so much for dropping by. We do appreciate it. This is invaluable information here, and I'm looking forward to your book, as I'm sure all of our listeners are, and you be sure to let us know when that book is available and how to get it, because I know there are a lot of people from this area that are going to want to get that book.
I think it'll be a good book, and I'm hoping it happens, and I certainly will come back and spend some more time here.
Do you have like an email address? If someone's listening and they have some information for you about Cajun music being played on the radio, or there might be a Cajun musician who has played on the radio regularly. We used to have live people come into the studio and play on the air. If they want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
You put me on the spot. I hadn't thought of that. But I use the nickname Noah, and then I abbreviated Arceneaux. NoahAX@gmail.com. NoahAX@gmail.com.
That makes it easy for your California friends.
Absolutely.
Noah, thanks a lot. We do appreciate you. Have a good day.
It's magic. Cash magic. It's time to play right here at home at Acadiana's fun place to play video poker, Cash Magic. With all the newest games like Silver Rider and Kitty Glitter, and our famous Cash Magic VIP service at all 4 Acadiana locations: Breaux Bridge, Eunice, and 2 in Broussard on Highway 90. You'll always be a VIP Cash Magic. Must be 21 or older. Valid ID required. Gambling problem. 877-770 stop. 105.5